and you will limit your capabilities to overcome challenges. But when you come from a humble place and you feel like your purpose is something bigger than yourself, you can remove your ego, which is going to allow you to perform better and be the type of person who learns fast. When you become the type of person who doesn't think they know everything, right, and you're always constantly willing to hear new information, you will find that there's so much gold that's been laying in front of you that you just never were paying attention to because you didn't value it. Welcome back, Dwayne Burns here again. I want to give you guys 3 key secrets that's going to help you 10x your outcomes in 2021 today. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently as I started writing my book. I was thinking about the top 5 things that I would want to share with someone that would actually help them get better results in their life and to see the kind of improvement that they want to. It really just started with the vision that I had for creating a brand and a company that truly looked after their organization and set the stage, so to speak, to be the leaders of what I call conscious capitalism, which is essentially being able to freely trade, but to consciously make it your responsibility as someone who is in a position of power and is serving a community to actually invest the things that the community has given to them to grow and multiply the good that is happening around the world. And I think that's super important. So here's 3 keys that I'm going to give you that I feel like are going to be life-changing if you truly apply them to your situation. The first one is what I consider faith. I didn't really understand the concept of faith when I was a kid. I remember we would talk about it at church, and faith was just kind of something that had to do with what you believed about God. And you know, at the time you think of it, you think God's like this magical creature in the sky that is waiting for you to speak to him. But rather what I learned is that having faith is just believing that the talents and abilities that you have, that you were born with, and your own uniqueness, because each of us were created with a unique DNA code that makes us special, believing that we can use those things to improve the world. And when you start to change what you feel about your internal world, it'll reflect in the world that you're having around you. So first things first is to have faith. Many of us, we grow up and the people that we are around will be the kind of people where they'll discourage you from trying new things or to start a new business or to take a step forward or to challenge the status quo. And these people that you're growing up around are stealing your energy, and you are now not going to take a step forward because the people around you don't want to see you changing and growing and doing better. And we have to break free from the social desire to be accepted for what we're doing, because if you want to really change your life, you're going to have to accept the fact that you're going to have to walk the path of the lonely, meaning you're going to have to make choices that the masses won't take. You're going to have to take risks and chances that most people won't take. People won't understand what you're doing or why. But when you're actually inspired to live your life every day for something that you truly care about, that puts you in an abundance mindset where you're not going to run out of energy or get tired or not want to do it, because you set your life up in such a way that instead of, working to pay your bills, you just decide you're going to wake up and you're going to do things that you want to do to improve the world. And as a result of that, right, an abundance of resources will become available, because when you see money for what it is, it's an accounting system for trading value, right? And money is just a representation of what we actually value, but the money itself has no value. So when you set your life up to not be a slave to money or make your decisions just based on money, you'll start to live in a world of abundance, because as you continue to impact more and more people, those people will, under the law of reciprocity, are going to return value to you because you have given value. So number 2, I would say become a reader. If leaders are readers, right? in order to change, just like when you want to get fit physically, you have to go to the gym, you have to work out, you have to push yourself, you have to make sacrifices physically, and as a result of those sacrifices, your body changes. If you want to change your mind, you can't just set out to want to be different. You actually have to change the thought patterns that are in your head, and you have to be open, right, to always want to receive new information and challenge your own ideas. Always challenge your own ideas, but you can only accomplish this if you want to be someone who is humble. Humble meaning you have a objective point of view about yourself in congruence with the world around you. If you think that you're something you're not, you will miss information, you will miss opportunities, you will be too vain, right, too prideful to ask for help, and you will limit your capabilities to overcome challenges. But when you come from a humble place and you feel like your purpose is something bigger than yourself, you can remove your ego, which is going to allow you to perform better and be the type of person who learns fast. When you become the type of person who doesn't think they know everything, right, and you're always constantly willing to hear new information, you will find that there's so much gold that's been laying in front of you that you just never were paying attention to because you didn't value it. So learn to value the right things. Last but not least, right, take risk. Take big risk. A lot of people don't realize that the risks that we're unwilling to take to have the life that we truly want internally, we have to be willing to take those risks, because what we do is we defer those risks onto other people, right? We'll say, well, I'm going to work this job because it's safe and it's going to provide me with income, right? So now your focus becomes, instead of abundance mentality, scarcity, right? You're just trying to make sure that you have the bare minimum instead of actually setting a plan to have the maximum or the abundance level of resources in all aspects of your life that you truly desire internally. So in order to do that, you have to take risks. You have to be willing to challenge yourself, challenge those ideas that you have about what you can accomplish and how fast, and you have to set out to learn, and that's going to propel you into growth faster, because you're out there taking risks, and like Grant Cardone would say, you have to 10x your efforts. What we often do is we don't realize what it's actually going to take to accomplish a certain goal, and because of that, we'll get discouraged, we'll quit, because things get challenging, and nobody likes to deal with things that are hard, because it's easier to just do what is easy. But the more you force yourself to do things that are hard, the hard things become easy, and then they become habits. And when they become habits, right, it's going to propel you forward faster. So continue to take risks day in and day out, and always bet on yourself. Right? Don't bet on your company to be successful. Don't bet on your parents to be successful. Don't bet on your spouse to be successful. You need a plan of your own to go out there and get the things in your life that you want, and set a plan and the disciplines required and the actions that are going to be needed to get the desired outcomes. We too often, in order to feel better about where we truly stand socially, we will use our moral superiority complex in order to justify why we have the results we have and other people have different results or different outcomes. And we make excuses about what people have accomplished and for what reasons, because it makes it easier for us to think that, it's not that I'm lazy, it's just that they were given a hand up, or it's because their parents gave this to them or that to them. Right? But really what it boils down to is an unrelenting desire to win, and the ability to deal with adversity and move forward fast from failure and on to the next risk. Because what I realized when I analyzed Grant Cardone's book, 10X Rule, is that if you look at it statistically, right, if I continually, I'll give you a sports example, if I continually get more shots up than my opponent, right, I'm going to have more scoring opportunities. So even if I'm not as efficient as some of my competitors, right, effort beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So you can literally outwork someone who's more talented, who has more access, merely by being willing to do a higher level of activity day in and day out and be disciplined about taking those actions. But the hardest part is the mental war, which is overcoming your desires that produce short-term outcomes and replacing those with disciplines and affirmations of why you're making a sacrifice for something that might feel okay right now to get something far better in the future. You know, and if you've grown up and you're used to living paycheck to paycheck, that trains your brain to think about things in a certain way, and you have to get rid of that. You have to be able to, in spite what you have or don't have, be able to see a long-term vision and commit to the disciplines of doing it every day for a long period of time. So those are three of the things that I feel like have created massive results in this short period of time for me. And you know, what really propelled me into high activity was just, you know, 3 years ago, my dad commits suicide. Immediately, right, the delusion that we can live in, or the bubble that many of us would not like to admit that we're in, was finally broken. And now you actually have to survive. There's no more, I can just always go home and crash on the couch. There's no more, I can just ask my dad to borrow, you know, $500 for rent, right? And you have to actually become someone who's consistent enough to not live day to day. So you start planning and you start working, and it put me in a position where I could outwork people because I literally had to. You have to find that pain in your life, and you have to transmute that energy into productive activity and get to work and get your feelings out of the game. Because what people don't realize is the world doesn't owe you understanding. You know, I think Kevin Samuels uses that phrase as well. I think the significance of it is more so that regardless of what you feel about something, that doesn't change the factors or the outcomes. And in order to win in life, you have to, instead of thinking about your feelings, you have to think about, but what is the roadmap to getting to the outcome that I want? And then taking action. And when you can do that consistently and stop worrying about social acceptance and all these things that don't matter, right? Brands, clothes, Instagram likes, you can actually go out there and do something special. So I hope you're inspired to do something big in 2021, and I want you guys to absolutely crush it. If you got any value from this video, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.